I'm Amazight Bey. Welcome to the Amazight Bey Show.
Welcome to the Amazight Bey Show, y'all. Come and get some knowledge about your birthright, y'all. Open up your mind, let it take flight. I guarantee we'll have you sitting right, y'all. Welcome to the Amazight Bey Show, y'all. Come and get some knowledge about your birthright, y'all. Open up your mind, let it take flight. I guarantee we'll have you sitting right, y'all.
Blog Talk Radio.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Amazight Bey, and we have our special guest, Richard Smith. He's the author of Moor, Mason, and Alien, not in that order. And introduce yourself.
Hey there. Thanks for having me on the show tonight. Yeah, my name is Richard Smith. And yeah, I just recently came out with a new book, The Moor, the Mason, and the Alien, and it's subtitled A Call to Action, because that's what the entire book is. It's a big, giant wake-up call to explain not only what's going on, but why it's been going on this way on the planet, why certain things are taking place. And it answers a whole lot of questions that have been plaguing us for the last 500,000 years, right on up to present-day America. Right here, right now, you know, with what's going on, even with the current election process we have in current affairs. And a lot of people often ask, you know, what's with the title? The Moor, the Mason, and the Alien. And I find it hysterical because people are reacting the way I expected them to. Because if I had reversed the title and said, you know, the Alien, the Mason, and the Moor, or, you know, the Mason, the Alien, and the Moor, they never would have bothered to even ask such a question. But as soon as you put the word Moor first, then all of a sudden it raises eyebrows, you know. What the hell is that about? Because they know, in general, or they think they know, what the reference to Mason is, and they think they know what the reference to the alien is, but most people have never, you know, heard that combined together with the word Moor, and there was a good reason why I chose it that way. For fundamental reasons, I wanted people to see the unfamiliar word first, so that it would stick in their mind. The Moor, okay, what's that about? Because they can't get to the other two words until they see that word first. And then there was the actual meaning behind naming the book that way. The Moor is, of course, a reference to the Moorish legacy. The Mason is a reference to the Masonic agenda, which is the opposing force. And the alien is a reference to that silent third party that is playing both sides against the middle. And so these are the three main components of what has affected pretty much all life on this planet for quite a long time. So, and for those of you listening to the show right now, I was just telling Brother Amazight before, I am recovering from the flu, which has kind of bombed me out of the water over the past week. So if my voice sounds a little funny, that's the reason why. But I was definitely looking forward to doing the interview tonight and talking with everybody. But that's the crux of the title right there, The Moor, the Mason, and the Alien. And the call to action as a subtitle, even though it's a reference to the whole book itself, it is also a reference to the fact that once you read the book, there's no erasing what you just read, because it answers a whole lot of mysteries in 3 seconds flat. It gets into where do we get our words from? Words that we constantly take for granted and throw around in conversation without understanding where they came from and what they really mean. And I'm not just talking about any words. I'm talking about foundational words that have affected our society in an extreme way. Words like God. Okay, where did that ridiculous word come from? All right, I talk about in the book exactly how the word God came into existence, and other misunderstood and misinterpreted words like Satan or devil or shadow or dog or cat. Okay, the whole concept of the concept of free will. Just the verbiage itself, the actual phrase, free will. Where did that phrase come from? How was it missing along the way? So once you start answering these questions, you start realizing, okay, all of these things that we've been referring to as religion, or I should say Western religion, okay, were really Eastern philosophies that belonged to the Egyptian university system, what's known as the Cometian Mysteries of Al-Kemet. And it gets into why the book explains why that came into existence. As the Temple of Solomon, where does the word Solomon come from? How does it relate to the original high priesthood, the Aman? Okay, linguistically, we get into that. How was the high priesthood sabotaged later on by this other fake priesthood called the Amun-Ra later on? So, and it talks about who the entities were, who the key players were, and how the human race ultimately became subjected to a system of corporatism and consumer slavery. So that's it brings it up to a certain point where it allows people to get ready for what I'm working on now, is the follow-up sequel to it. So that's the crux of the book right there.
Okay. So, Richard, I know this is a senior lesson for new people that's listening that might find this information very disturbing or very fictional. So, how do you get response from Europeans and other? Let's go with the Europeans. When you bring up the word, Moor, they know what a Mason is, they know what alien is, but when you bring up the word Moor,
yeah. Well, I talk with them. There's a lot of. It's a good question. I just lost my train of thought on that one, but I had a interesting reaction in, of all places, Memphis, Tennessee. Okay, Martin Luther King's original stomping ground. All right, and I was asked in February of 2006 to come and deliver this presentation in a two-part lecture at what was referred to at that time as the World Paranormal Forum in Memphis, Tennessee. And at the time, everybody looked at me like I was nuts. They're like, "You're going to Memphis to deliver this lecture? Good luck." And because they thought, everybody was going to be chasing me through the streets and I was going to be tarred and feathered. Well, there was some pretty wild dynamics going on once I started giving my lecture. And when I was done with both parts of the lecture, I had two key factors in the audience. One was a black Mason, and the other was an old white couple who looked like they were in their 70s or 80s. Okay? And they were both looking kind of stern at me, and I thought to myself, okay, I'm going to get it. Somebody's going to blast me out of the water when this lecture's over. So when the lecture was over, here comes the old white couple, okay? And I was bracing myself for this, okay? Well, unbeknownst to me, they walk up. The husband shakes my hand, puts her arms around me. They said, to tell you, your lecture alone was worth the full damn because this is information you were presenting, and they hugged me and they said, thank you so much for coming and for being brave enough to come to Memphis. They said, they said, at this point in time, I think we're all ready to hear this. So that was a sobering experience for me. And then later on, kind of like the polar opposite of it walks up to me, the Black Mason, and I thought he was going to rail on me too. He shook my hand. He says, outstanding. He says, outstanding. He says, I wish my other brothers in the Black Masonic Lodge would listen to you.
Wow.
So that's a mixed experience there from both sides of the equation. That was a total shock to me, and it taught me a huge lesson that day, all those years ago, to not be afraid to go where angels dare not tread, because the information and the answers are coming to the surface, but you can't explain those answers the right way without the Moorish legacy as a key factor in that discussion. This is why my contemporaries fall flat on their face, because your average ufologist who goes after the alien abduction phenomena per se, think about it. What's the mentality coming from your average ufologist? And it's not their fault, but, logically, if you analyze it, your average ufologist is a blue-collar, white, pro-Christian, that kind of a person. So that kind of a person is chasing after a UFO on Saturday and then going to Mass on Sunday and worshiping the same damn thing that he was chasing after on Saturday. And that's like a dog chasing its tail. And that's why my other contemporaries really don't seem to be offering any solid answers at all. And to which I say, well, of course you don't get any solid answers because you refuse to speak to or associate with the whole idea of extraterrestrial intervention with your dark-skinned Native American, African, Asian, or Arabian, brothers and sisters. And if you're not going to go into those territories, then you're never going to get the answers. I know very well that there are some pretty paranoid and scared elements out there that are paying very close attention to what I talk about and getting pissed off. But those elements are coming from what I refer to in the book as the corporate titans. And with the experiences that I've had over the years, I can't really point a finger at your average blue-collar, white suburbanite and say, they're not going to listen. They more than likely will if you give them half a chance. But it's a case of also explaining it to them the right way, so that they can ingest it and then take it back home and then, figure it out on their own. When I get into that part of the discussion about how the pale skin came into existence, I make damn sure that comes later on in the discussion, so that I've already set them up with the key factors, so that when we move into that controversial and dangerous territory of explaining how the pale skin came into existence, that it's an easier blow, but it's also a light that goes off in their heads. Because your enlightened European, your enlightened pale skin, is going to have no choice but to say, that's why white people have such a huge problem with this, that, or the other thing. Think about it. You got to come to terms with the fact at some point that no black man, Native American, Asian, or nobody of color and hue invented an atomic bomb. Nobody of color and hue invented the concept of germ warfare or biological warfare or chemical warfare. These are all constructs of a white, pale-skinned elite in corporate America. And we are at a point in our society where your average white European and your average white American can separate themselves from that corporate elite and realize, yes, this is the problem.
Wow. Most listeners, they gotta they have to swallow that, and this is a new paradigm to these people. So, we as Moors, we are very active. On this side, and you're active on that side. Actually, you're active along with us, and I commend you. But if you could talk to these people right quick before we got an hour, so we have time. If you can talk to a Moor, if you had an opportunity to talk to unconscious Moor, and because right now what's going on, it's always been going on. You talk about Noble Drew Ali and the Moorish Divine National Movement. And our brothers right now are probably just waking up to that Christendom and dogma is basically been controlling their life, and they just like, what is a Moor? And, we try to educate our people in etymology and stuff, and they really don't get that nationality is very important, especially when we talk about ancient law, universal law, and basically we talking about the rule of society in this universe by the blood. So, how could you, elaborate on that where they can understand that, they are bigger than what they are, and actually everybody on the planet either is amalgamated more or more, basically,
Yes. Well, what? I always take the perspective that if you can do it with white people who have never been awakened, you can do it with anybody. Because if there's anybody who is kind of dense on this planet, it's your white American. But when it comes to people of color and hue, the sun-kissed people of Earth, who are not awake to this yet on that side of the equation, I would gladly sit down and have a conversation with them about the fundamentals of how important they are in the grand scheme of things, because I've noticed that I would challenge them with this. I would say, if I was 7 shades darker, would you listen to me then? And then they would have to think about that. And their answer would probably be no. And then I would challenge them one step further. I said, okay, so I'm white, and you're going to listen to me now. Why? And that's how we would start off that conversation, because that would force them into the psychological side of it, because it's all about psychological warfare against the human being, to understand why their immediate knee-jerk reaction is to not listen to someone who looks just like them. But, you know, why are you programmed at the social level to listen to the white guy? And once we start breaking those walls down, then we start explaining the fundamentals. And then I would say to them, I said, you know, didn't it ever occur to you? Why is the pale skin a small, tiny minority that is controlling the other 70 or 80% of the planet? Okay, how come I cannot point one finger at a black, Hispanic, or Native American and call them a corporate titan? I can't call them a thug. I can't call them an enemy of the people. Okay? How come there's no such thing as a black Rothschild or a black Rockefeller or a black Sloan or a black Kettering? Okay? Why is all the power consumed under this elite core? And then once they start thinking about it, they'll be like, well, that's because of what came out of Europe. I said, yes, let's talk about what came out of Europe. Okay, so it's all about playing the psychological card, how to push those buttons and pull those triggers to get them to wake up in their mind and realize, oh, okay, these are the questions I haven't really been looking at. You know, why the hell are a small minority of people who look just like me controlling the other 80% of the planet? Okay, and why is Europe the only country on the planet that doesn't belong to the Asiatic nations? Think about it. Every other country, continent, Asiatic nation, they all, in some way, shape, or form, start with the letter A, with the exception of Europe. Okay? I mean, you know, once you start wondering, how did Europe come into existence? That opens up a whole can of worms right there. And once you start establishing the ground rules, then you get into, well, what does that mean to the majority of the planet then? What about the rest of us? I said, yeah, what about the rest of you? Here's your history. Here's your Temple of Solomon. Here's your bloodline of the Christs. Here's your Star of David. Haven't you ever heard of these things? No? Okay. Well, guess what? Here's the reason why you've never heard of these things. So, yeah, it's just a case of using just some basic fundamental principles and getting them to that point where then they can dive into the nitty-gritty of natural law and civics and all that stuff there.
Okay. I appreciate that. Now, we've been trying since 1913, Richard. And you have seen a lot of Moors videos. I'm pretty sure nothing shocks you. But
right.
I was talking to a European last night and an Asiatic. And one guy told me he's an individualist. And the European guy said, Amazight, you should know that, what you talking about. And I'm like, I'm just talking about civics. He was like, but you're not supposed to know that. And I'm like, really? So I asked him one question. I said, I said, is your life more important than a generation coming behind you? And he puzzled. And he said, no. And I'm like, don't you think it's important that all of us know what's going on? So the whole message was the Asiatic brothers disengaged from the conversation because he was engaged in beliefs, but the European was intrigued. And
yes,
it is very, very difficult because our people, I mean, they really, when they hear the word, because they're going to buy the book, but when they hear the word Moor, they know Mason, they know alien, but when they hear the word Moor, it's like a mystical, like, we can't be that, you know what I'm saying? Like, we can't be these people. But my thing is, if these people claim to be the first people on the planet, it's like, shouldn't they have a big stake in the real estate in this universe? And when we explain that to them, they're like, no. You get what I'm saying? So how do the Masons fall into the politics and, you know, with the word Mason and Moor? How does that correlate with the politics of it? Because, and before you answer that, I saw a video of Pope Francis. I'm not a big fan of this guy, but he was kissing a Moor feet. And I saw him kissing the Black Madonna also, because he too knows who we are. He actually knows, and they have a lot of history. So how did that correlate? Because look like he's going around like, hey guys, this stuff is about to be blown out of the water. Everybody, because he already exposed it in 2014 with these letters that he been surfacing, you know, the Motopopia and the Silver Order, and I did an interview on C-SPAN. So it looked like he's going around trying to calm everybody down, you know, and don't, you know, I guess let the general public know war has been going on for a long time, but now it's like in everybody's face. So how did that correlate with the politics with the Mason and the Moor?
Yeah, good question. I'm glad you brought that up there. First of all, when you, just in terms of current affairs, what you described with Pope Francis, when you see that kind of bravado going on, and I talked about this a couple weeks ago on Project Camelot TV as well, it's an act of desperation, okay? And it's almost like extending an olive branch, which of course is a Moorish symbol anyway, extending an olive branch of peace to say, hey, we know we were supposed to give all this back to you guys, and we're sorry that we're such a bunch of selfish SOBs and we didn't. But unfortunately, we're trapped now, and we are controlled and manipulated by the enemy. Okay? So that's what the actions of Pope Francis represent. And the fact that he is bowing down and kissing the Moor's feet and so forth, and the Black Madonna, you know, as Bill Cosby would say, that's Grandma and Grandpa's way of trying to get back into heaven. As interesting as that is, I can see right through his actions, and his actions are shallow and are no better than the British Empire, the United Kingdom, giving Hong Kong as an olive branch back to China back in the 90s. Why did they do that? Because that was their way of saying, hey, we know the United States is going down the tubes. We know they're going to be face down in the gutter. This is their way of saying, hey, we want to be friends with you because we know China is going to be the new economic power on the planet. So when you know what's going on in the backdrop there, all these actions start to make sense. It's an act of the schoolyard bully being backed into a corner because all the kids in the schoolyard banded together and they got wise, and now the schoolyard bully realizes, oh, my masters are not going to be here to protect me. I'm on my own. I'm screwed. So as far as the, and that takes us right into the politics of your other question there, the Masonic issue in relation to the Moorish legacy. I mean, its proper terminology would be white Freemasonry, okay? And of course, subordinate to that is black Masons and female Masons who take their marching orders from their white masters, while being brainwashed with the idea that they are equal to their white masters, which is a joke and a half, okay? Because there is there is no such thing as a there's no such thing as a 33-degree Mason that's black. That will never happen. Because, and I always put this out there, because people always like to try and challenge that. It's like, listen to what I'm saying. Even though the joke is on the Masons, they have this warped idea that their high point is 33 degrees, and that's only meant for the white guy. Why? Well, this is how you know when someone knows what they're talking about or when they're BSing you. Because in order to achieve 33-degree status, you would then get what's referred to as kind of like a $10,000 pass from the Vatican. Once again, this is where Pope Francis comes into play again. $10,000 pass from the Vatican to go what's referred to as the House of Omar in Jerusalem to see the best-kept secret on the planet. And that best-kept secret is a dark-skinned Christ by the name of Guru Master Isa. And guess who Guru Master Prophet Isa is? The one that everybody calls Jesus. Now, can you imagine what the hell would happen if you allowed a black man, a black Mason, to achieve 33-degree status and they went to see that? Oh, holy hell. The whole damn world would come crumbling down once a black Mason was brought to that realization. Okay? You can't get a Prince Hall Mason to comprehend that. You get a black Mason of any kind, whether it's in a Prince Hall Lodge or mixed in with the Illuminati white Masons, you can't get a black man in a Masonic Lodge to comprehend that because they're not allowed to see it. So the politics is the black and female Masons are used as lackeys, middle management, to do the dirty work of upper management, which is the white Illuminati Freemasons. And they're the ones that keep that dirty little secret that every black man that has been brainwashed with the idea that Jesus was white and pure and ivory-skinned, okay? Well, that's just a complete damn sham. And this is another reason why Pope Francis would be kissing the feet of the Moors, because he knows the Moors know that secret. Why do the Moors know that secret and the black Masons don't? Very simple. The Moors wear a fez, and the fez can spiral around 360 degrees. It's not stunted by this idiotic 33-degree status. Okay? They know all these things, and that's why when they go to these conferences, I don't know what kind of a conference you'd go to where Moors and Masons would meet each other, but when they go to these occult conferences, you got to figure they'd probably be meeting up with each other there, and the Moors will intentionally walk into those conferences with their red fez and the tassel held at the 33-degree mark just to stick it in the face of the white Masons and the black Masons to say, hey, our fez can go around a full circle. We are highly evolved, well past your stunted 33-degree status. You guys think you're so special, and you're not. But this is the joke of it all. And in those politics, the idea is that if you want to be equal, and this sort of goes back to another question you asked earlier, how would I talk to a Moor that's not been awakened yet? I would talk to them about equality, because here's the next big whammy. Your average person or your black Mason, or anyone who is 7 shades darker, who is not in the know, is sucker punched with this mentality that in order to be equal, you have to be me. You have to be the white Anglo-Saxon heterosexual male. And if you're not, then you are the enemy. And therefore you are nothing. But here's the ultimate joke. Why was equality invented in the first place? Because heaven knows it has nothing to do with civil rights. These things couldn't be more different than night and day. Civil rights says you have the rights and the freedoms to pursue your dreams as long as you're not hurting anybody else. Have a nice day. Don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out. It's a very lackluster thing. There's nothing romantic about it. It is what it is. It's just plain old black and white. But along comes this other romantic abortion called equality that messes up the whole damn thing. Well, equality is like the word eternity or forever, okay? They're abstract terms, and the only way to define them is by relativity. You have to relate it to something. You have to have an archetype. Well, I am the archetype of equality. If you don't look like me, talk like me, have my gender or sexual orientation, then you are the enemy. Plain and simple. But even though you're the enemy, we'll still subjugate you and brainwash you with the idea that you could possibly achieve equality if you assimilate into the Borg collective, okay, of the what I refer to as the European Ivory Tower, okay, the white Masonic elite, the Grand Masonic Lodge. But here's the ultimate joke. In order to, if you could possibly do that, let's just pretend in some absurd and perverse way, you could achieve that kind of equality. All you would have achieved is going right back to being less than zero, and therefore right back to being a second-class citizen. Why? Because the pale skin was not supposed to exist. It is an abomination of Mother Nature. It was created under false pretense by the enemy for the sole purpose of producing an obedient race that would do their bidding for them and wipe the floor up with the rest of the Asiatic nations. Henceforth, Native American genocide for 500 years, 400 years of African Moafa, the Chinese open-door policy, a three-pronged military campaign to basically destroy the family of man, the people of color and hue, which, might I add, worked very well, unfortunately, and was highly successful. So that's why in the politics that exists between the Moors and the Masons, the ultimate cosmic joke is this perversion that we refer to as equality, of which I have zero respect for, because you're trying to achieve something that was never supposed to exist. And the Moors, they know this, okay? They know that civil rights is one thing, equality is another. And why was the concept of equality even allowed to come into existence? Well, case in point, the act of desperation, the act of bravado, like Pope Francis or England giving Hong Kong back to China and so forth, okay? Long ago, it was realized that eventually, people like me were going to come along and start exposing this stuff in a big way. And there would be no way of reversing that process. So naturally, you want to put a mechanism in place, a political mechanism, a social mechanism, that would, in some way, shape, or form, socially condition everyone to already be on board with equality by the time the whole thing gets exposed. Because the idea would be, well, if this ever comes to light, our white, when I say our, I'm speaking, I'm talking like the bad guys, all right? Our white slaves, our white slave race, our European Ivory Tower, is going to come crashing to the ground. How do we protect that? let's introduce the word equality. Everybody's equal. Equal to what? You got to have an archetype. Oh, equal to, I know what, let's legitimize the false origin story of the pale skin by making everyone think they have to be equal to the pale skin, no questions asked. And this is where you get these false origin stories from Europe coming out of Greece and all of that BS, which is the farthest thing from the truth, because all of your philosophers that were referred to as Grecian were actually Cometian first, and then went to Greece to teach their students. So it's a way of reinventing a false origin story so that nobody asks any questions, and everybody is brainwashed with the idea that they have to be equal to the freak show that was never supposed to exist in the first place, so that when this all comes crashing down, no one goes hunting down the pale-skinned slave race, and starts killing them off left and right. Granted, it's a very selfish motive behind it, okay? But at this point in time, I think it's fair to say that people are getting on board with the idea that equality, just unto itself, just academically, was always a joke anyway. I mean, if we're all equal, then where did Malcolm X and Martin Luther King come from? Where did Medgar Evers come from? Where did Noble Joel Lee and the rest of the Christs come from? If we're all equal, then you have to be equal to the lowest common denominator, and that's just not true, because some of us are just simply better than the rest, and we always will be. There's no denying that.
Okay,
and those people that are, those people that are better than the rest are the ones who are so humble that they'll never admit to it.
Right. All right. Now look at this, Richard. We're gonna take a quick break, man. We're gonna let you get you some juice or something right quick, and then I'm gonna come back and hit you with a quick question, and then we're gonna open up the line. I know Cujo and the rest of the people is dying just to grab at you and ask you some good questions, man. But I appreciate it.
Awesome.
And when we come back from the commercial, I just ask you a quick question and let everybody know where they can get your book and your website and all that. So we gonna play some more.
Okay.
We'll be right back. It's gonna be a quick little break.
Okay, no problem.
All right.
Amazight Bey, all liberties reserved. My pinnacle is clear to see within the cabinet of sheep. Most colonists would deny me of my birthright. It is for certain that I, Amazight, made from her, and of her the thoughts with no clear definition for the mortal minds to comprehend. I represent sleep, the completed physical manifestation of our lives, 7 continuous years of perfection. I evolve and transcend time and space, the consciousness of every man that I am. Regardless of your acknowledgement, I exist, and because of this, so through you shall reach hell. As I walk through the valley of shadow, I see bones of dead among me. You heard? You heard? I fear no evil as I rise to my sun. Ra shall always protect me. My shield, my light always go with me. Thereof I am untouched by the unworthy, for they know of me and are not prepared. I enforce you to be one of these. Higher self, mastering lower self. This is a battle to complete. Don't accept defeat. You heard? The truth is out there for you, Moors. Just ask Prophet over to Ali, prophet of the end of time. He made his so we can know we are free to know our birthright, our nationality, jurisdiction of our own mastery. No master can touch these tentacles of these pyramids. Moors got the world on lock, got to wait for us to use the back Pandora's file. Who else is strong enough? You tell me. Because as far as I can see, Moors, nobody. Sharice L and Amazight Bey, the L's and the B's, the Moors. Amazight Bey, all living is reserved.
All praise due to Allah. I give honors to the prophet, Noble Jew Ali. I seen them more close to PM. Now you ripping up the DM. All eyes, yeah, I see him. Boy, they calling this, I hate the DM. It goes down in the AM. 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 Snatch me up the 7, circle 7. Or FaceTime me that lesson if it's cool. Boy, that AM pop. Boy, that AM pop. I got some more in the DM. They breaking news if they see them. But we don't do no talking, no talk. We see Negro shit too often, dirty more. I seen them more close to PM. So now she repping up the DM. All eyes, yeah, I see her. Boy, they calling this, I hate the DM. It goes down in the AM. 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 Don't you hate when you get pulled over? Cause you're a section ain't for everybody. I love the law. Addicted to it, I know I am. Yours. Better recognize your vast estate. Cause that European ain't gon' wait. You are Leah came and told you that. Nationality is the G, man. I seen them more close to PM. Now you ripping up the DM. All eyes, yeah, I see them. Boy, they calling this, I hate the DM. It goes down in the AM. It goes down.
All right. We back. And I appreciate everybody that called in. And we're gonna get right back at it. All right. Hope you got your juice, Richard. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Let me before I'm gonna ask you this question, and right before you answer that question, right quick, we got 35 minutes left. After I ask the question, just tell everybody where they can pick up the book, where they get your information. I know it's UFOteacher.com, but any other links that I forgot or didn't post it, I had a technical difficulty. I had to create a whole nother show. And my last question is the alien. So the alien Mason and the Moor, and how do that fit into this? And is it just 20% of the world basically trying to wake up 80%? And is there an unknown factor of galactic people on the earth, around the earth, or whatever, people that just want to do good, that want to help, but it's basically like, if you won't help yourself, we can't intervene, basically, because what we dealing with is add up knowledge. You know what I'm saying? So the most average person gonna be like, whatever, whatever. But as you can see, that active Moors, we put out this information along with yourself, and they really don't get it. Like, we stay on the planet. They don't really know the politics of the universe. They don't know that this is the ruling planet. They don't really know that they're royal. They think Moors is a religion. They don't really know it's a bloodline, and the universe knows. I'm talking about the universe knows who's the true possessors of this and who's the righteous people, and they really know, like, that we're compassionate, we rule, but we don't destroy. You know what I'm saying? We uplift all humanity. So we got 33 minutes in, and just give the people information and best you can answer that question. And forgive me for rambling. And then we'll take questions. We 33 minutes in, and I know y'all ready.
Okay.
But here it goes.
Yeah. That's one heck of a question there. But a good one. As far as that, finding me, my main website is ufoteacher.com, all one word, UFO Teacher. When you enter the site, you'll see the book link at the top there. If they want to find the book, they can just go to book.ufoteacher.com. If they want my bio and how to contact me for speaking engagement or anything like that, they can go to about.ufoteacher.com, where my profile and bio is. But it's all at the main website. You can't miss it. And as far as that loaded question you just asked there, that's a huge part of the book there. And I noticed the Moorish people, you're right, they don't seem to realize that the whole, and I, in the book too, I give an equal amount of attention to explaining and breaking down certain constructs in the Moorish legacy piece by piece, because I wanted people to get a good and honest and real flavor for what the Moorish legacy meant, where it came from, why it came into existence with regard to the extraterrestrial element, okay? And that it's not something subjected to the finite view of religion, okay? It's something that represents the grand scheme of things in terms of the entire solar system that we exist in. In esoteric literature of any kind, when you see the word kingdom, it is referring to a solar system. When you see the phrase mansion or mansions in heaven, it's talking about alternate realities, parallel dimensions, but it's also talking about motherships, okay? So you got to know how to translate the verbiage here, because remember, some of this stuff was written long ago with a vocabulary that was very stunted. So naturally, they're going to use, more provincial terms to try and describe things they were seeing up in the sky. But the thing is, there's plenty of documentation of how ancient tribes and the ancients themselves from 5,000 to 10,000 years ago already knew about the structure of the solar system and who the key players were, okay? So the extraterrestrial element, it comes down to two basic principles in relation to the Moorish legacy and the Masonic agenda, okay? Those two basic principles are this, and this is really all you need to know, and always keep this in the back of your mind, no matter what you read, no matter what you learn, always keep these two things in mind: flesh and bone versus wood and stone. That's what it comes down to. Now, what do we mean by that? Flesh and bone is a reference to benevolent factions in the galactic community who have a vested interest in the health and well-being of the human experiment on this planet, the human being, okay, and its ecological equilibrium with Mother Earth, the planet. It's also an investment in the spiritual development of the human being, too. which is where the Temple of Solomon and the Moorish legacy comes into play, with the Star of David and the bloodline of the Christs. Because each and every Christ that comes along is known as a master architect. And that master, and this is how we get this totally skewed and idiotic word, carpenter, for one of the Christs, which is totally off base. Okay? The fact of the matter is Jesus and Buddha and Muhammad, Noble Drew Ali, Abraham, and the rest of them, they were master architects. Okay? That means each one of them came and built another wing onto the Temple of Solomon. Okay? So a major Christ is a master architect, and they work in conjunction with the concept of flesh and bone, which stands in sharp opposition to the other side of the equation, which is wood and stone. Now, wood and stone is a reference to those malevolent factions in the galactic community that have a vested interest in the tradable commodities that the human being lives on, and therefore they don't see the human being as a human being. They see the human being as chattel attached to the land. Now, it is from the word chattel, which is a legal real estate term, that we get the mispronunciation cattle. I point out in the book that the human being is chattel and therefore cattle attached to the land. Goes a long way to explaining why a black man got labeled as 3/5 of the person in the original Constitution, because they were already seen as chattel and therefore cattle. Okay? This is an extraterrestrial concept that came from the malevolent factions, most notably the Aryan Empire, which is your white elite pale-skinned reptilians, and the Canis Empire, which is your white elite Canis feudal lords, canines, dogs of war. Okay? And it's because of the collaboration between these two maniacs, who were greed-driven and profit-driven, that cooperation between those two empires gives birth to what we refer to today as the two-party system. So you see, the two-party system has very little to do with Democrats and Republicans, and a hell of a lot more to do with what came 500,000 years before. Two-party system is something that was forced upon us and therefore handed down through the European ivory tower, okay, by manipulation. It's in every aspect of our society. You cannot get away from this. The FDA and the pharmaceuticals, the media monopolies and the corporate conglomerates, all right, the Federal Reserve and the IRS, the Israeli Mossad and Vatican City. I could go on all day here. The two-party system exists everywhere. What does it represent? It represents upper management and middle management. These are corporate concepts that came from elsewhere and never had anything to do with this solar system until they were forcibly brought here as an invasion. Because when the human being was first being brought into existence as a magnificent creation, all of a sudden the malevolent factions came along and they realized, oh, look, a prime.
Okay. We lost Richard. So we're going to wait for him to call back. We're going to open up the line. This kind of happens. So, Richard, we'll wait for you to call back. This kind of happens all the time. Active Moors, we deal with this type of stuff all the time, so we lost him. Hopefully he'll call back. Let me see if that's Richard.
Yeah, I'm back here. Sorry about that. All of a sudden, I saw myself drop out.
Right.
Yeah, but just in a nutshell, with that grand creation came this vicious jealousy factor of, well, why are they being elevated like that when we could use them as slaves? And this is when that patriarchal invasion of the planet, Mother Earth, and the entire solar system took over. Everything is run on the principle of feudalism, which is just, capitalism without a really good marketing campaign. There's no difference between capitalism and feudalism. They're the same animal. All right? And so in every kingdom, solar system, there's always going to be one planet that's seen as the throne of power that holds sway over all the other chunks of real estate, which we refer to romantically as planets. So that's another realization, too, is we can still see them as planets, but we need to expand that definition now and see them as each planet represents a chunk of real estate. Okay? And, of course, Mother Earth is the throne of power in this solar kingdom, this solar system. Goes a long way to explaining why everybody is so damn interested in coming here, in either studying us or doing things to us, okay? And this is how the what's referred to as the alien abduction phenomena came into existence. Now, I'm not sure if anybody else has been paying attention, but I am hard-pressed to find anyone in the Native American community, the black community, Moorish community, Asian, Arabian, Hispanic community who has an issue with the alien abduction phenomena. In fact, the only ones I see talking about it is white America and white Europeans. They seem to be the only ones that have a problem with this. And you can't use the Betty and Barney Hill case because the infamous Betty and Barney Hill case with the mixed marriage, he's black, she's white, because when you look close at the facts, they were more interested in her and had very little interest in him. He was just there as an attachment, so naturally they're going to have a curiosity, but it's more so a hands-off policy. Okay? You are not allowed to touch the family of man. That's off limits. You're not allowed to touch the people of color and hue. So that's why the pale skin was created. And then when they, by these very same entities that we refer to as the Greys, which are ashy, pale-skinned cybernetic organisms themselves, who are programmed to work against the Temple of Solomon, against the Moorish legacy, against the bloodline of the Christs. Why? Because that side of the equation holds something that drives them absolutely friggin' insane. And that is known very simply as the gene for passion. Gene for passion was handed down to us by our benevolent factions, most notably the Ankyls, which are an extraterrestrial race of beings that are highly evolved. And I explain in the book, but just short explanation. Yeah, go ahead.
I hate to stop you, but we like 19 minutes in.
Oh, okay,
you wanna check
listen,
this guy
you
out,
can read the rest.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna open up the line for some quick questions. I want to let the people but y'all, if you want to know more about this topics, you want to go get the book and you want to talk to some good Europeans. I'm going to say active Europeans and active Moors, basically. You're not going to hear this information from nobody else. And the information is out there. We're not hiding it. It's everywhere. It's like literally everywhere. So we're gonna open up the lines and take some quick questions. We got 19 minutes to the end of the show, so I open up the line for the first caller. Start with area code 416. Are you there, caller? Islam.
What's good, Mar?
Oh man, just being active more, man. I appreciate you for coming in. You got a question for Richard?
Well, first of all, this is Brother Kudrow from Canaanland, and
hey, Brother Kudrow, good to see you here. Awesome.
Yeah. I just wanted to let you know that we got the box, we got the books, and we've been doing our best to get the word out on people supporting the great work that you put in that book.
Thank you.
One thing I wanted to ask you about, if you could talk briefly about the impact that finding out about Noble Drew Ali had on your research, because when we check your work, Peter Moon's work, there's a lot of reference to this little man that nobody talks about. So if you can just speak on Noble Drew Ali and what.
Definitely. Noble Drew Ali is a powerful figure in this whole thing. And I talk about that in the book when it comes to the challenge that all Christs have to go to when they come face to face with the deadly challenge of the Sphinx. And this, his passing the test and sitting at the paws of the Sphinx and then coming back to the United States to lead the movement there was a sign that went up as a huge flare that said, hey, we are taking this whole thing back. And when you say we, I mean the Moorish legacy, the bloodline of ascendancy, the throne of power being Mother Earth and all that. Noble Drew Ali was quite simply a real Christ. And people have this hard time comprehending that because he chose to stick with his own people where he was needed in the United States. And this is true of any Christ. You can't mix and match Christs, okay? You can't go swapping them around. They are born, keeping with the idea of bloodlines, they are intentionally born into a specific demographic representing their own people at a time when their people, so to speak, need a good swift kick in the head to wake them up and straighten them out. So the Noble Drew Ali represents a powerful symbolism that coincides with the idea that not only was there a real genuine Christ at the beginning of the 20th century, okay, here in the Western Hemisphere, but that also served as an olive branch between East and West, okay, that the Temple of Solomon was everywhere at once. Okay, it wasn't just in Egypt, it wasn't just in China, it wasn't just in India, it was everywhere at once. And the thing is that once he started that moving in a forward motion, most people don't realize that was pivotal. That was truly pivotal because later on, you have that ripple effect down the line there with people like Malcolm X and Martin Luther King picking up where that left off. And the sad part of it is that in the scheme of sabotaging the Christ, and you'll notice this, it wasn't just Noble Drew Ali that this happened to, but this happens to just about every Christ. The bad guys are always going to try and rape and pillage your history. They're always going to try and rape and pillage the Moorish legacy to try and justify their own false existence. So naturally, Noble Drew Ali, the academic reports at the time point out that he was hunted down and brutally beaten by a gang of cops, which I find very disagreeable and makes no sense at all, because Christs are of royalty, and it is understood in the scheme of things that Christs are to remain untouchable. You are not supposed to go near them, as far as the bad guys go, okay? You're not supposed to be hunting them down. You're not supposed to be beating them to death in the streets. So the truth of the matter is, this is the part of the story that nobody bothered to entertain, is that he had achieved such a high status in terms of mysticism in his own spiritual evolution that he achieved what the Buddhist monks would refer to as mind over matter. And he just evolved right out of the third dimension into the higher dimensions. But he had a reason for doing that, because at the time, the United States was in pretty bad shape for Black America. And you got to remember, they were just crawling out of that ridiculous and pathetic excuse that they referred to as the Reconstruction era of the late 1800s. And by the time the 1920s come along, everything was pretty bad. Everybody was bitter, nasty, hopeless, okay? It was sweltering. You could cut it with a knife, it was so bad. And a lot of that was coming out of the very same community that Noble Drew Ali was trying to help. And Noble Drew Ali looked around and he said, you know what? The hell with this. I can't get anything done on the three-dimensional plane. I need to evolve to the higher dimensions to get something accomplished. And that's what he did. And by doing so, you can then look at the long stretch of what happened over the last 100 years, and you'll see his finger touching everything that has come along, okay, so far, from him evolving to the higher dimension at that point as a master architect. And everything that has come to this point, which may very well include somebody like me writing the book, The Moor, the Mason, and the Alien, has all been because he evolved out of the third dimension. So he has had a huge, he represents a huge staple on the last 100 years. And that's the significance of him as a Christ.
Islam. Appreciate that. And thank you for all the work that you're doing to help us in uplifting fallen humanity.
Thank you for being on here with me. Much appreciated.
Islam, Noble. Thank you. I appreciate it. We're going to go to the next caller. The next caller, starting with area code 505. Where you calling from? What's your appellation? What's your question? No, I'm sorry. Area code 443. I'm sorry. Hello. How you doing?
Islam, Amazight. Islam, Richard, I am Hassan, Ghazi El Bey at Northwestern Mexham. How's the family?
Islam, all is well. We have 10 minutes left in the show.
Absolutely. I just wanted to send out my energy and my love. Just say I definitely appreciate this broadcast. And I appreciate you, Richard, for what you're doing, as Brother Cujo had said, and helping to uplift fallen humanity, because it further lets me know that I'm on the right path when there's brothers like you actually resonating this information and backing up the prophet, and I truly appreciate it personally. And keep up the great work, gentlemen. Thank you so much. Thank you, brothers. Peace and love.
Thank you.
Peace
Thank
and love.
you.
Thank
Wonderful.
you. Well, the callers with their hands up.
Okay.
And so we got 9 minutes left. If you can, I want to thank you first of all for coming on the show. I would love to have you back for a part 2. I know you're sick, and we're running out of time, man. I would love for you to come back on the show to do a part 2 because, I mean, we got a lot of people online actually, and they're listening.
Okay.
And this is just great. I know you have a busy schedule, but I don't think the general public really got what you just said. Like, you just told the general public that Prophet Noble Drew Ali was actually a prophet in the modern days as the equivalent of Yahshua, what they call Jesus.
Right.
They don't really get that's what you're saying. They really don't get that. You know,
okay.
So 8 minutes.
Well,
if you can, the best way you can put it, and you know, what did he really? I mean, because this is the Moors Divine National Movement, and he did bring birthright and nationality and national principles. So they don't really think, they think it's religious, you know, not divine. So about 8 minutes in, if you could just, you know, you have the rest of the flow.
Okay. Well, I would challenge anyone to tell me how he defeated the Sphinx if he's not a real Christ. There is only one type of person that can do that, and that is a genuine Christ. Okay? And on top of that, there is not one Egyptian adept in Egypt who will deny this. Those Egyptian adepts were waiting for him on the docks before he even got there, and he sent no letter of introduction. He sent no warning that he was coming. Basically, it was he had the vision, jumped on a boat, went across the ocean, bam, Egypt, they were there waiting for him. They knew he was coming. Okay? That does not happen if it's just religion. That happens when it's truly spiritual and of the Star of David and of the Temple of Solomon, if you are a master architect. Okay? And if you just take a good long look at all the key events that have played out in the United States over the past 100 years, I would have a hard time denying that his fingerprint wasn't touching each one of those from the spiritual realm. Okay? And, of course, this goes a long way to explaining why there's been a lot of violence in retaliation against that over the past 100 years. Okay? The death of Medgar Evers, the death of Martin Luther King and Malcolm X at such a young age. Okay? These were all fingerprints of Noble Drew Ali, all footprints in the sand left by him. And the Masonic agenda knew that. And they went after them because they knew what they represented. All right, and I get into more detail about that in the book there with regard to what I refer to as the 80-20 scenario. All right, and why why, as long as only 20% of you are listening to me, I'm allowed to keep my head attached to my shoulders, so to speak. All right. So as long as when we start heading,
they don't realize that they really think this is a game. You know.
They really, yeah, exactly. And no, it's a serious issue about inheritance and legacy and ascendancy and bloodlines, and most notably that what I refer to in the book as the ancient vendetta. The ancient vendetta to wipe the floor up with the family of man. Why? Because the family of man possesses the gene for passion. And when the gene for passion was funneled through the Temple of Solomon, it came out the other side as the passion of the Christ. Noble Drew Ali was well aware of where the passion of the Christ came from. It was no mystery to him. Okay? And that's why, knowing this, when you go back and you look at all the things that he talked about, everything he talked about was about inheritance of the land, the law of the land, okay, natural law. He's talking about all these things about the people of color and hue, the sun-kissed people of earth. He was trying to get people on board with that, and some people actually did listen, but others didn't. And that's when he ascended to the higher realms. But when you ascend like that, Mother Nature abhors having a void. And when the void that was left behind when he ascended was just enough to allow the powers of darkness to move in for the kill at that point, and they took the entire legacy that he left behind and stole it and ended up handing it off to, unfortunately, certain other black Masonic lodges that warped it and perverted it until somebody like Malcolm X came along and woke up to it and said, this is wrong what you're doing. I am not going to work with you anymore. I'm going off on my own. Okay? And this is what has evolved along the way in terms of breaking away from the Grand Masonic Lodge and any form of black masonry, including, unfortunately, the Nation of Islam, which has no good interests at all for the black community or the Moorish legacy, because unfortunately it takes its marching orders from the white Masonic lodges, including the FBI, and so these are some serious things going on here that people of color and hue are going to have to do some serious soul searching on where their loyalties lie, because ultimately you need to decide which side of the playing field are you on. Are you for Mother Earth, or are you for the Empire of Orion? Okay, are you, which is the bad guy I talk about in the book. And so if you're part of any kind of Masonic lodge, you're working for the enemy. And it doesn't matter whether it's called the Illuminati or the Nation of Islam. It's all a Masonic lodge. It doesn't matter if it's called the FBI or the CIA. It's all a Masonic lodge. Okay? Monsanto, Microsoft, McDonald's, it's all a Masonic lodge. All right? What is a Masonic lodge? It's a corporation. All right? And the corporation was designed to replicate itself like a virus through society to permanently reinvent the two-party system over and over again that would plague us every step of the way. And the bad guys are getting away with it because the other 80% hasn't woken up yet. And if the other 80% is going to stay asleep, then how can you really point a finger at the bad guys and say they're getting away with murder when the other 80%, 50% of the blame rests at their doorstep? We've had 500,000 years to pull our collective heads out of our collective asses. There's no reason to be sympathetic about this anymore after 500,000 years. The human race has had more than enough time to get its act together. And now, because we have prolonged it so long, we are in the 11th hour of our existence. And, we're hydrofracking the living hell out of the planet, and we're allowing the corporate titans to get away with it because their attitude is, hey, let's strip mine the whole damn solar system before they wake up. Well, if we let them do that, then there'll be nothing left for future generations to inherit, because the whole damn thing will be a barren, dead wasteland. This is the thing you have to work towards. Me, my motivation is I have 4 nieces. I want them to grow up knowing that Uncle Rick did everything he possibly could to make their future better.
Wow. And that's what it. We lost the internet feed, but we still live with the phone line. That's what we try to instill. Like I ask people, like, you know, the guy, you know, the Asiatic and the European, you know, that's why I asked them, like, you don't love nobody on the planet, like the generation this generation that we was brought up in. I'm pretty sure you come from the 70s, I come from the 80s, and you know, everybody say, well, my grandmother, and I'm like, well, guess what? You're a grown adult. You know better. You do better. You follow what I'm saying? And, you know, Noble Joe Ali did say that the 3rd and 4th generation would be here. And he also said, Europeans helping me. Why not you? So the 3rd and 4th generation is the 70s and the 80s babies. You know?
Yes.
And,
yeah, definitely.
You know, definitely, you know, and for the simple fact is we got a generation that is very dumbed down. Like, literally, they don't really know. Like when I try to reach a brother, I ask him, if I can't convince him that he's not black, I don't go any further than that. You know, I'll ask him, I'm like, look, what color are you? He was like, well, I'm black. I'm like, black is a shade. You know, we go into the whole 9 yard, and I'm like, look, bro, I look like the tree. You know, I'm brown with black hair. You know what I'm saying? Do you look like that tire? Yeah, I look like that tire. Okay, bam. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, like, wow, you know, and the whole thing is, you know, we do videos. I'm actually in the street, you know. I got programs called Operation Free Rent. We teach about nationality, birthright, you know, the ETC, and I wanted to just open this platform, and I thank you for coming on, so people can see that we're everywhere. You know, we're spreading this knowledge, and not just Moors is saying the same thing. There's Europeans, there's Asiatics, there's other people, but we really doing this for our generation. I don't know whoever listening to this. We don't do this for likes. We don't do this for monetary gain, because we know, as he just stated, Richard stated earlier, that melon is the precious mineral on this planet, actually. Melon. Right. You know what I'm saying? They kill us, you know. They use the Europeans because they can't, you know, directly do it. But melon goes for a whole lot, you know, along with the other resources. And if you call yourself property, you know what I'm saying, and you're not dealing with, you know, nationality, birthright, for one, your ancestors, and as he stated in the book, Richard stated in the book, the benevolent faction can't help you. You know what I'm saying? They can't. You're not honoring your ancestors, and we really doing this for the generation, because everybody is tone deaf and dumb. All they want to do is smoke, drink, have all the sex they could. Like, it's going out of style. You know what I mean? And they really don't. They don't. You know what I'm saying? And even if my thing is the preachers. Okay, all the preachers, not all of them, but the ones that get a so-called degree, you feel me? They know better, because they look at me crazy. And the whole thing is, if you so holy than thou and all of that, and you know, all these books talks about Moors, the Moabites, why are you still in them churches when it tells you in that Bible, it tells you that the nation and the how can I put it, the mission is in the street. So how can any religious leader says they about the uplifting of fallen humanity, because that's what they claim. That's what they claim. They preaching the word and all that. Why they not in the streets? Why they not in the community And also, if I throw up Federal Reserve in the air, you know, because they say so-called the creator, God or whatever got a bank account, they don't catch it if I throw it up in the air. So, you know, him and Susie, they going to the Bahamas, but I don't see these religious, so-called dogmatic, claiming to be religious people in the street teaching the people like you are, like yourself, and all the active Moors and all the active Europeans, because they believe it or not, they got a lot of active Europeans. Because I met one today, and she was like, she wanted to see basically how much I knew or whatever. She was like, yeah, the shrine is wet at and it's decorated. I'm like, they're wearing my crown. So she goes, yeah, that's a tabush. I'm like, oh, really? Yeah, it's a tabush. She was like, yeah, because my brother and all this. And then she was like, yeah, and she was like, yeah, the Moors wore that too. And I'm like, yeah, I'm a Moor. I'm a national Moor. So she goes, really? I'm like, yeah. Huh. So she breaks down, you know, she goes, this is a European. Now, this is a blonde-head, blue-eyed European.
Yeah.
And you know what she did?
Right.
The minute she was like, I can't have this conversation, she said, believe it or not, my uncle got everything, pictures about the Moors. And she hugged me, and she was like, I'm glad y'all are waking up. That's what she told me. And she probably listened to the show. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because she got the number. She was like, I'm glad that, you know what I'm saying, she was really excited. She was like, I never met a Moor. And I'm like, what do you mean? She was like, you know what I mean. I never met a Moor that knew he was Moor.
Yes,
and she was excited. She was excited, you know. So people get it twisted. There's dirty Europeans, there's dirty Moors, there's dirty Japanese, dirty, you know what I'm saying? Either you dirty or you're not. Which side you going to be?
Right.
Are you going to be with the light workers or are you going to be with the other side? Because, I mean, it can swing either way, but they already know we won. But the whole thing is everything is energy. And if you listen to mainstream media and you're not, because we're on a social media. Rich is on a social media. Active Moors is on a social media. It's just that the people, they about that image life. And Moors, active Moors, we about that birthright. We don't deal with, you know what I'm saying, because we already know what it you know what it is. And I just want the listeners to know when he said he's doing this for his niece, he's doing this for his niece and the nation that she has in her womb. That's really what who he doing that for. You know what I'm saying? And y'all, people got to look at the big picture. The big picture is bigger than us. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we are more. Yeah, he acknowledged he's amalgamated more. But, you know what I'm saying? It depends on what time period. He might have looked at like me back in the day. You never know how this thing really worked. But at the same time, yeah, we royal. Yeah, we the sovereign. But at the same time, we got work to do. Because Noble Drew Ali gave us a task. You feel me? Europeans and Moors, because he pleaded to everybody, every nation, actually. And he said, look, y'all got to uplift fallen humanity. Now, the nation come behind us. We have to give them that task. But this task is to uplift fallen humanity and enforce the supreme law of the land, which is really the planet, really the universe, actually. You know what I'm saying? It's really, they know the supreme law is this, whatever the law is on this planet, is the law of this universe, which is this kingdom when you leave off the planet. They know what it is.
Right.
But, you know, we have freshman ears, so they might don't get it, you know. But, I mean, we still got time, but if you got to go, that's cool. But we still on the phone line, and it'll upload.
Well, I'll tell you.
You know, but if you if you got to go.
I'll leave you with one final note there, because you bring up an interesting point there. People will, you know, I'll still get the reaction from some people where they look at me and they're like, but he's white. I don't get it. You know, they'll look at me like they're totally confused. And I will tell them, I said, look, it's very simple. I said, reincarnation is for the good guys, immortality is for the bad guys. In terms of reincarnation, do you think I always looked like this? And then they get it, because there's a whole lot of pale skins, Europeans, who are coming back into this life looking like me, but that's not who they were in the previous life. And there's a reason why Mother Earth is playing that game on purpose, because she knows how to work the system. And she's watched the bad guys get away with it for long enough, and now she's using it against them. And kind of in a humorous manner, I tell people, when I was being reincarnated back into this life, in the 70s, I was told in no uncertain terms, you're not coming back as another black, Hispanic, or Native American. You're not coming back as another woman. This time we're bringing you back as the white guy, the one thing that they fear the most. In other words, the bad guys. Let's give them a taste of their own medicine and give them a run for their money. And that's what's happening. That's the other side of what I refer to in the book as the spiritual insurrection, is that some of these people who were previously here doing the work as part of the Moorish legacy are now coming back as pale-skinned, Americans, pale-skinned Europeans, and so forth, to challenge the system and say, hey, you've gotten away with raping and molesting a woman. You've gotten away with lynching a black man, or killing off a Hispanic, or exterminating pretty much most of your Native American brothers and sisters. But what are you going to do when the guy delivering the message looks exactly like you? You can't touch him then. Because once you touch the white guy, the other 80% wakes up. And that's the thing that scares the living hell out of the bad guys and the white Masonic elite and the Illuminati. Because it's like, well, we know who he used to be, but this is what he looks like now, and damn it, we can't touch him because now he's white. So this is the kind of thing that's going on here with this, this game of chicken that Mother Earth is playing with the Empire of Orion. Because she's like, well, okay, every time I send back a black man, you kill him, or a Hispanic or a Native American. If I was to send a woman, you would do all sorts of wonderful, nasty things to get rid of her. But what can you do to the white guy who looks exactly like you? And that's when the plan was hatched to start reincarnating, some of the people of color and hue as paleskins. So that's why I always challenge people on their perceptions of white and black, or more and European. And it's like, do you really think I always looked like this?
Wow, that's wonderful. And the people, if y'all really don't get that, basically explain deja vu. You know what I'm saying? And why you can't recall some of the memories, because you probably was something totally like, me and a Moor brother and a European Muslim son, we was talking about that, and he was like, I said, what if you was an animal, or what if you was a woman in a different, lifetime? You wouldn't remember. That's why you can't recall your memories, because you couldn't even fathom that. you know what I mean?
Right, exactly.
But I definitely appreciate it. I definitely appreciate it, man. And whenever you you're welcome back on the show anytime, man. You can hit me up, man. I really appreciate it. But this is real big, and you're welcome on the Amazight Bey Show anytime. We're building a network,
awesome.
And you are the first. This is the first actual show day. This is the premiere of the show, and we have a show on YouTube. Yeah. So it's real big, and I have 3 episodes on YouTube, and this will be the 4th episode. But on YouTube, that's the YouTube channel. So definitely, this is gonna go on YouTube. We're gonna edit it, but this is the first premiere of the Amazight Bey Show on Blog Talk, the first show of many of Aboriginal news in facts.
Very good. Congratulations on getting it on Blog Talk Radio. That's awesome. And it's been a real honor to be invited onto the show and being the first time on the Blog Talk channel with you here. And, yeah, I would definitely love to come back. Let's do a part 2. That would be awesome.
Okay. Just let me know when you're free, and you're welcome to come at any time. And I really appreciate it. I really do. This is really, really big. If y'all haven't got the book, go ahead and get the book. You can go ahead and subscribe to YouTube. Check your channel out. Just Google Richard Smith, or you can find him anywhere. Believe that.
Yes. Anyway, you have a good night there, Amazight, and once again, thank you for having me as a guest.
Okay, thank you. Peace and love.
Good night there.
So, all rights reserved, all liberties reserved. That wraps it up for the show. If we got any more callers, if you want to just say your appellation, say a couple of things, just be brief. We're gonna finish with some more bite music, and then we're gonna get out of here. Appreciate all the guests. I appreciate Cujo, Ottawa L. I appreciate Cosmo L, and the brother. I forgot your appellation, and all the listeners that's still on the line or be listening from the archive. This is a beautiful beginning. Stay tuned. Every Sunday we will do a show. You can find me on Twitter at Amazight Bey. That's AMAZIGHT Bey, BEY. That's kind of my hub. So go ahead and subscribe to Twitter. You can also go to the Amazight Bey Show on YouTube. That's Amazight Bey Show on YouTube. Also, you can go to my Facebook group page. It's called Moors Learning for Real Life. Also, Amazight Bey Show on Facebook. There's also an Amazight Bey Show on Facebook, and I am Amazight Bey. You can find me on Google Hangout. You can just Google me, bang me. And I'm also on an app called Hangwit. I do a lot of screaming on there. But Twitter is your best bet to find me. We're going to have Aboriginal cooking coming up. We got a clothing line. We got more about music. We have a homeless ministry. And we basically uplift and follow humanity in Aboriginal news and facts. So if you have any business and you want to do a commercial, or you need to rent a slot on the Amazight Bey Show, or it's wide open for anybody. But we have, like I said, Aboriginal cooking. We're going to do some videos. But if you haven't seen the Amazight Bey Show on YouTube, this will be episode 4. But this is the first Amazight Bey Show on Blog Talk, and it's real big. And we open it up. Richard Smith and the brothers show support, and the princess did come through. Forgive me. We had the mother Moabites in there. So I'm going to open up the lines, say your appellation, where you're calling from. Let's go to 973 area code.
Peace, what's up? This is Tova, and I just got the last bit of the show, but it's all aligned, and I'm just loving I just want to say peace to both of you and to all the gods, here in physical bodies and who have ascended. Because there's really not a lot of us, but there's enough of us. And it's crazy because, as I'm pretty much like incognito with a GROW too, but you know what? My dad, he was, he passed and he ascended, and my family keeps all of the information about him from me. And he also, it's crazy, but I was writing down Moors and Dogons, and I didn't understand how I even knew those words, but I was decoding my DNA since I got here, basically, because it's easy to know, like I started to know who you are when you know what you're not. But it's just a beautiful thing, and I'm really loving the love tonight, and the congratulations on your first, you said it's your first blog talk show?
Yeah, actually, it's my first blog talk show, so this is really big.
You
I really
turned into God Talk Radio. For real.
Well, I'm kind of humble. I don't really throw the title. I mean, I use it, when I gotta exercise my birthright. But I mean, I'm just Amazight.
Well,
just doing the work.
Well, that's what's up. It's funny because I was just organizing my beads, and I was like thinking I was just doing with the Amazight too. So it's a beautiful thing that like the technology that you use it as technology with a KNOWLEDGEY, and when I don't always have access to technology because I'm not really the digital frequencies just physically make me sick in every way. I'm just only adaptable to anything that's natural. If it's not natural, it's just I can't even try to, sheeple out like that. But I call it rice cake. I'm never going to rice cake out like that. But it's also a portal or a channel for us to reunite. Because I know who my fan is, and I know that's all I really care about. That's all I care about is the earth. Earth spells heart, and the heart chakra of the earth is the mama land. And I'm just blessed to be here and to, see, remember who I am no matter what body I'm in, no matter what skin suit I am in, because I know where I'm from and who I'm here for, and and that's all I'm focused on. We got to keep the focus and leave the soulless. And, I'm just very, very, very appreciative and grateful for tonight and for y'all bringing the light. And thank you so much. I'm sorry if I'm going on. I have so many thoughts going on in my brain. It's like it's so slow in this dimension. We can only say one word at a time, and inside my head is like a laser show. So.
Right. Well, definitely, I appreciate it. And you can follow me on Twitter to see what I'm doing. And the next show would be just follow me on Twitter. And I just got a schedule with my producer and other people. We're gonna have Aboriginal Indigenous cooking. We're gonna have a music ministry. We have a homeless ministry, and we're looking for individuals with businesses and whatever. And if you want to be a sponsor or anybody wants to play a commercial or need us to play it on the air, we are willing to do that. Our job is to uplift all of humanity. And the phone lines and the internet views has just been off the roof. And I'm pretty sure it's going to pick up. It's really going to pick up. So I appreciate you for calling in. Peace and love.
Peace and love to you, brothers. Hotel.
So if anybody else, you could just press 1 if you want to say hello or say anything. Just press 1, and I'm going to open up the line, area code 443. Hi, you live with Amazight.
Islam Amazight. I am Hassan Ghazi Obey, Northwestern Maxim. I just wanted to say briefly, It's cool that you are doing what you're doing, brother, because yeah, actually all of the brothers across the board of all the active Moors, it brought me back tonight to a brief thing when I was 8. Brother was the director of a choir I was on, and he was trying to convince my mother to come to some equestrian type of I can't even think of what to really call it, but it was some type of equestrian outing or something when I was 8, and it had to deal with some brothers that were Masons, Prince Hall Masons, and at that moment, I didn't understand. I just wanted to go ride the horses. I thought it was cool, thought it was different. Being near corporate Baltimore, that's different to ride horses because you don't get to do that often near corporate Baltimore. But anyway, the fact that my mother was under the mindset that it had to deal with is, it's the cult and that's nothing but the devil, Bobby Boucher. You know what I mean? With that kind of mindset
yeah,
or whatever.
Right.
But the thing is, it made me realize now in retrospect. Many years later, it'd be about my 32nd sun cycle very soon. But it made me see like what Brother Taj and them be talking about. Sometimes the sisters be so ingrained in not honoring their foremothers and forefathers when things that we really do need come across us. They'll still write it off as that's the devil or that's occult science or whatever. Even though the brothers that were inviting me were probably clandestine themselves. So it was still probably it was an opportunity to be caught between a rock and a hard place. But I'm so happy that, and I'll say this the best way possible, that the Prophet found, me, with me being between these Masons that want me to come and check this out. And then my mom's like, no, don't check it out. And now that the Prophet has come along, now you have a brother that's basically exposing this on your first show, and it just makes me feel like I'm so thankful and so honored, especially by brothers like you, Amazight, and Brother Taj and Cujo and the mothers Roz and Anna Eid and Ms. Raheem. So I just wanted to chime in and say, man, it just brought back and made me a little emotional. Like, wow, man, I'm glad I didn't go to these places when I was younger because now I'm able to be free in a sense. I'm not tied to this group. I'm not tied to that group, and I actually was able to make a conscious decision. So I just wanted to say much honor to Mother-in-Law and the Prophet and all of you guys doing the de jour work. Peace and love.
Man, I really, really appreciate it. But you gotta realize though, you had a part in that. That was your higher self talking to your lower self, basically. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Basically, you know what I'm saying? And the ancestors, they do what they do, man. I really appreciate it. Like I said, man, I got the you can go to my YouTube channel. There's a program called Operation Free Rent where we teach the homeless people about their birthright and nationality because the general public, is how can we say they really don't care. So basically it's called Operation Free Rent, and that's the homeless ministry, and that's to teach the homeless people about their birthright and nationality and start really, building earth houses for these people. But at the same time, you got to give them a foundation. You follow what I'm saying? Because these people are cast as desirables. So my job is, as an active Moor, I come from the so-called hood, the so-called Crescent City, Katrina, you hear me? So the simple fact is, I come from all my brothers and sisters, no matter where they at. But, I have the CD called Birthright that I'm working on. And all proceeds and my ebook and everything I'm really doing is going to the homeless ministry, Operation Free Rent, where we teach people about their birthright nationality, get them in a place, get a school up, get all these things up, and just doing great work in the community along with the other active Moors. You feel what I'm saying? So I really appreciate it, and that's what this idea was totally about. And the simple fact, I have became homeless as the fact of actually the answers were like, look, you feel me? You talking about you going to help somebody. You need to be in that situation to see exactly what they go through. And it's amazing. So it's going to be in a book. It's going to be in the music. And like I said, I appreciate it, man. I appreciate the love. This is the first show. This not the last. And, man, you welcome on anytime, brother. And like I said, follow me on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook. And I'm always posting stuff the next show, it'll be in a couple of days. I just got to relapse and do this, and I appreciate your energy, brother. I really do.
Man, I appreciate it. And what I'll do is I'll send you something. I'll send you a message via the Facebook because I haven't been real vocal about it, but I'm always in my laboratory, and I do audio engineering and have been doing it since I was 14. Only Brother Pujo will probably be able to back me up on that because I sent him something last year of some work that I've done. But I'm a bit of a audio nerd as well as this jurisprudence nerdism that I picked up. But what I'll do is I'll send you my info or whatever, and whatever I can contribute, I will to anybody's cause, anybody out there in the family that may need audio engineering services. But yeah,
man,
that's
really
definitely my thing.
That's really big, man. Cujo gonna be on the CD. We just ain't figured out what we gonna do. He waiting. He already, he ready to go. So it's on me. I have 49 tracks really right now from a lot of Moors. You feel me? So I'm welcome. It's gonna be one of a kind. Like I said, all proceeds is actually going to the homeless minister, and as you know, we're under the Moors Divine National Movement. The movement, not you know what I'm saying. I'm not bashing our brothers that's in the temple, but the prophecy is the Moors Divine National Movement of the world. That's the cause. So you follow what I'm saying,
I
brother?
Totally agree. Yes, you already know. That's why I said I'm offering whatever anybody needs as far as the nation. Right. I can see what it is. So
we just want to, we just want to let our brothers know in the temple we're not straying away from it, but it's the Moors Divine National Movement. You feel me? It's not the Moors Science Temple of America movement. It's the Moors Divine National Movement of the world. There's brothers from Australia that reach out to me on streaming sites, and they got a Moors Science Temple over there. And they rep the Moors Divine National Movement of the world. There's actually a temple in Australia, and I'm talking to some brothers, right? Like, we've been going back and forth for like 2 months. There's a temple over there, so there's a temple all over. Actually, if you want to, you know what I'm saying. It depends on what is the labor. And so when the prophecy is the Moors Divine National Movement of the world, a lot of Moors is waking up. It might don't look like it on the surface, but trust me, Cujo get a phone calls crazy. Rise get phone calls. I'm pretty sure you get phone calls. RV Bey,
from California, yeah, I was surprised. I actually did get a couple calls from California, but yeah, go ahead. I'm listening, brother.
Yeah, so I'm working with some. I got some I have actually a European also, and I'm on an app called Hangwith.com. It's a streaming site. A lot of my videos. And they like, yeah, of course I know you're more Amazight. Keep doing what you're doing. And I'm like, okay. And he was like, no. I'm like, I'm not brushing you off. I'm like, okay, I know. He was like, no, that's big. I'm like, I get it. You know what I'm saying? And he showed me there's actually a temple over there in Australia.
Yeah, that's
and it said Moors Divine. It says Moors. It has Moors Divine National Movement on the building. But that's going to be on the book coming soon, real soon. I appreciate it, brother. Peace and love.
Peace and love, Islam.
Islam. So we're going to go to caller, I believe it's 973. Anybody else, you can just press the 1. If you press the 1 by mistake, go ahead and press the 1. It'll bring you out of the queue. And we're going to take this caller. Anybody else, you can go ahead and press that 1. This is the after show. We had a great show with Richard Smith. This is the first premiere of the Amazight Bey Show on Blog Talk. You can go ahead and Google me. You can Google More Call C-SPAN. That's a hot video. A lot of the Moors are sharing that video when I was on C-SPAN. Also, my motive in all this is to uplift all humanity and to be an active Moor. It's not no big eye, little you. I'm not one of them how can I say, dogma or religious people. I deal with my birthright, my nationality. And I don't deal with the clubism, No organization no building can hold my birthright or my nationality. And the group of people that I'm working with, they don't talk about nationhood. They actually implement nationhood, and we stand together by one common ground, and that's our birthright, which is our nationality, which is our bloodline, our DNA, and honoring our ancestors and all divine prophets. As you can see, the family showed up, and I really appreciate all the family that showed up, everybody that listened online, everybody, every post that I bugged, I just go on your page and I just had to, get this message out to let y'all know there's other active Moors, and a lot of the Moors do know of my work prior to this, and they know I'm real genuine, and I just want to put it on the record, for the record, all rights reserved, all liberties reserved, all honors to all prophets, all honors to Prophet Noble Ali, all honors to all ancestors seen and unseen. I'm not in the clubism. I'm about the Moorish Divine National Movement. That's the cause, that's the movement. You feel me? I extend great honors to all the Temple Moors, whether whatever organization you come from. We have the same bloodline. We have the same nationality and the same free national name. So let's quit the game and show our brothers and sisters that's unconscious, that don't know nothing, you feel me, about unity. We can disagree with each other, but at the same time, we have a birthright in the nationality. And Prophet Noble Ali said the Moorish Divine National Movement, not the Moorish Temple Divine National Movement, because the temple is the body. So once again, I just wanted to put that on the record. I'm repping the Moorish Divine National Movement. So that means the temple, the Moorish Science Temple of America, yeah, I'm repping that too. The Moorish Holy Science Temple of America, yeah, I'm repping that too. The brothers with the red, black, and green, yeah, I'm repping that too. You feel me? It's the same thing. We need to come together so our unconscious brothers can see unity and they can realize that it's not about no religion, so-called dogma. This is about our nation, our bloodline, our property, our inheritance. And we have a job to honor our ancestors and fulfill what we already do, what we already destined to do. We can't get around that. We Moors, you can look up Black or Moor, you know what I'm saying? That's what we are, That's basically like if you buy a dog and you name the dog, you feel me? You name the dog what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? What you want it to be called, or what do you want it to respond as? So these people made us prisoners of war, enslaved us, and called us what they wanted to call us. So we're walking around calling us what they say. So we can't do that. We have to honor our ancestors, and the contract say more anyway. So they know you're more, whether you know it or not. You feel me? So I'm going to open up anybody wants to say something, you're welcome. I don't know if this caller's pressed it by mistake, but I'm about to open up the line right quick. All right, they got a lot of noise, so we're going to get back into, we're going to play some more music.
All praise due to Allah. I give honor to the Prophet Noble Ali.
You heard me?
I seen them more folks to be up. Now you ripping up the senior. All eyes, yeah, I see them. Boy, they calling this, I hate to see them. It goes down in the AM. It goes down in the AM. I'm next. It goes down in the AM. It goes down in the AM. I'm next. Snatch me up the 7, circle 7. I'll FaceTime me that lesson. This is cool. Boy, that AM pop. Boy, that AM pop. I got some Moors in the DM. They breaking news that they see us. But we don't do no talking, no talk. We see Negro shit too often, dirty flow. I seen them more folks the PM. So now she repping up the DM. All eyes, yeah, I see her. Boy, that columnist, I hate to see him. It goes down in the AM. 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 Don't you hate when you get pulled over? That jurisdiction ain't for everybody. I love the law. Addicted to it, I know I am. Better recognize your vast estate. Cause that European ain't gon' wait. You Ali and came and told you that. My nationality is key, man. I seen them more folks to PM. Now you repping up the DM. All eyes, yeah, I see him. Boy, that columnist, I hate to see him. It goes down in the AM. 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 Snatch me up at 7, circle 7. Or FaceTime me that lesson if it's cool. Snatch me up at 7, circle 7. Or FaceTime me that lesson if it's cool. Snatch me up at 7. I seen them more folks to PM. So now she repping up the DM. All eyes, yeah, I see her. Boy, that columnist, I hate to see him. It goes down in the AM. It goes down in the AM. It goes down in the AM. It goes down in the AM.
Amazight Bey, all liberties reserved. My pinnacle is clear to see within the cabinet or sea. Most colonies would deny me of my birthright. It is for certain that I am a sight made from her, and of her thoughts with no clear definition for the mortal minds to comprehend. I represent sleep, the complete physical manifestation of our lives, 7 continuous years of perfection. I evolve and transcend time and space, the consciousness of every man that I am, regardless of your acknowledgement. I exist, and because of this, so through you, Sharice L. As I walk through the valley of shadow, I see bones of dead among you. You heard? You heard? You heard? I fear no evil as I rise to my sun. Ra shall always protect me. My shield, my light always go with me. Thereof I am untouched by the unworthy, for they know of me and are not prepared. I am fortunate to be one of these. High yourself, mastering lower self. This is a battle to complete. Don't accept defeat. You heard? The truth is out there for you, Moors. Just ask Prophet know what you are, Prophet of the end of time. He made it so we can know we are free to know our birthright, our nationality, jurisdiction of our own mastery. No master can touch these pinnacles of these pyramids. Moors got the world on lock, got to wait for us to use the back Pandora's box. Who else is strong enough? You tell me. Because as far as I can see, Moors, nobody. Sharice L. and Amazight Bey, the L's and the B's, the Moors. Amazight Bey, all liberties reserved.
So we're going to get back to it for the remaining of the time. I really appreciate everybody that's here. Really appreciate you. I really do. I really, really do. And this was a great, great, wonderful show. Any other callers would like to say something before we get out of here? We're going to play a little snippet. You just get a little sample of the Birthright CD. And we have a lot of people on that CD featuring myself. It's called Birthright, Moabite Music. And there's just more to come. We got a clothing line coming out. And community affairs that's very, very heavy on our heart to get active in the community, which a lot of Moors are. We're just here to just do our part and link up with more active Moors and just build on platforms of each other. As you can see, the family came out and support today, and we support each other, and we are united. Regardless of what you see on the TV and in the mainstream, we are united.
Amazight Bey, all rights reserved, all liberties reserved, you feel me? What's your birthright? Say love, do you see my jurisdiction, you feel me? We the landlord, time for us to stand up. Nationality matters. Amazight Bey, you feel me? What's your birthright? Say love, do you see my jurisdiction? Say love, do you see my jurisdiction? That's the bees with the cups, that's the bees with the chopper, chop, 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 chop. Say love, do you see my jurisdiction? Say love, do you see my jurisdiction? That's the bees with the cups, that's the bees with the chopper, chop, 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 chop. Chop. I'm in your city riding, I'm in your city flying, you in your city side.
So that's just a little snippet, you feel me? This is a little snippet we working, you know what I'm saying? We definitely about self-preservation. And, hey, we just making some Moors music and getting rid of that crazy stuff. You know what I'm saying? We just talking greasy on a track and adding facts. You know what I'm saying? We got to reach everybody by any means necessary. So there's going to be a lot of lawfully and legally talk, a lot of greasy talk, you know what I'm saying, a lot of Moors talk, you feel me? And we just extended our hands to our brothers and sisters that haven't declared their nationality. Nationality matters. And if you're not on my Instagram, I don't know what you're doing. If you're not on that Instagram, Amazight Bey Instagram, I don't know, it's the dopest Instagram out there. And it's just to show the culture of our people as Moors, as quote-unquote so-called Africans. You know what I'm saying? Because I talk to a lot of brothers that come from the so-called continent, and they call Africa, and they rock turbans and feathers. So if you're a so-called African, and you talking about you're a so-called African, right, I would like to know where your turban and your fez at. Because that's what we wear. And the brothers like, we know we Moors. We just don't come over here and talk to y'all, because if we tell you Moors, you're going to curse us out and tell us all this stuff. So what we do is we just mind our business, man. And so if you really talk in an intelligent tone, talk to one of these brothers. They'll tell you. They know they Moors, they know we Moors. But they ain't going to talk to us for the simple fact is we'll jump down their neck and say they lying or whatever. So it's like they don't even care. They like, we honor our ancestors, you know. Y'all don't. Y'all call yourself black. We don't call you black. But since y'all want to say that, you know what I'm saying, that's the attitude. And we got to come together, people. We have to come together as declaring our nationality, you know, all over the planet. The rest of the world have a nationality. They utilize their nationality. They don't have some of the problems that we have. And at the end of the day, in the beginning of the night, they stick together. You know what I'm saying? So we need to stick together and get back to that community. I'm talking about real community, real nation, when you have 4, 5, 10 people in one house, you feel me? A lot of people don't like that because they want to be the boss. But back in the day, we had fun. I don't care what you said. You was in your grandma's house. You and your cousins and your cousins and your uncles and y'all don't ate cereal on some newspaper. You know what I'm saying? Your grandma came and probably was drinking. My grandma was drinking out of coffee, I think it's Coffee Mate. That was her mason jar. That's what she drank Kool-Aid out of. You feel me? So y'all remember that when y'all was coming up. You know, if you didn't and you young, you know what I'm saying? Ask your mama and she'll tell you we had family day at the park. Everybody was together. So we got to get back to that to save our generation. And our job is to uplift fallen humanity without dealing with beliefs, dealing with facts. So, you know, it's the Moors Divine National Movement, not the Moors Religious movement. It's divine. It is two different things. You can get you a good book, like it's an etymology dictionary. They got a sister online. There's a PDF, etymology. You can get you an unabridged dictionary. And after you finish learning about what words is and what they not, then you plug that word into a law dictionary. And if you just spend a little time on that and check out rvbaypublication.com and Moore's Directory, Khalifa Media, Abdullah Moses Bey, these websites are free websites to educate our people, free online universities to educate our people on facts. Facts, not beliefs, facts. Just because you found God, quote unquote, doesn't mean you're really conscious or aware of what the politics that's affecting us as a whole. You know what I'm saying? Because there's other people on this planet and they are civilized. You feel me? So we need to straighten our ranks because this is the Moors Divine National Movement. And it's just us. When I mean this is us, we have to clean up our own doo-doo. You feel me? We want these people to not violate us as a whole. We got to take responsibility because if we want these people to go, well, who's going to run the continent? That means paperwork has to be done. So that means the people must change their mindset, must change their literature. You feel me? Because the culture is in the language. So we can't say keep the finger pointing at them when we don't want to sit down and read. Oh, that's too much to read and all that. But you say you want justice. Well, you don't know what justice is. They say this. Okay, who is they? Do you got something backing up with that's factual that they said? We got to look at this, man. We really got to look at this, and it's about saving our generation, which is us. You know what I'm saying? Which is really us, just us. You feel me? Just us. You know? That's the RLs, just us. Get it together. Say, look, well, we got a nationality, but I believe in this religion. That's fine. That's cool. Your nationality, your birthright, has nothing to do with your sexual preference or your belief. This is about DNA, bloodline, and recognize we got a family. Like when all so-called Chinese get together, no matter what, they not calling themselves yellow man. They calling this. They gonna stand on their nationality together. You know, the Chinese people, the Japanese people, the Russian people, etc., the Europeans, etc. They stand together by their nationality. So we need to stand together, and we don't deal with dirty Moors or dirty Europeans or dirty individuals. You feel me? Like our brothers that slander us over and over and over. We do rebuttals because the general public is easily swayed. We don't do that to make finance or to be like, yeah, we big and bad. Nah, we just put the information out there and keep it moving because we are being judged by our ancestors indirectly, directly, and the whole universe, whether you know or not, they're betting on us. Everything is a bet. Everything is going on behind the scenes. So if we want to make a change, and if you really want to put a dent in this crazy spiral system that's crashing, because the rest of the world is sick of us waiting. They're going to move forward with us. And whoever left over, that's so be it. The simple fact is we have a nationality, we have a bloodline. Now we know. When you know better, you can do better. Now you know. So it's time for us to put aside our beliefs and sexual preference and bull and be like, hey, brother, you know, like the brother said, I'm an engineer, I do such and such. I do such and such. Okay, bam, that's the common denominator. But at the end of the day, we still got to study together. We still got to learn together. If I don't know what you know and you don't know what I know, we know good to each other. Because when these people pack up and leave right now, who's going to be the mayor? Who's going to be the congressman? Who's going to be the fireman? Who's going to be in charge of the electrical grid? Who's going to be in charge of everything? So that means just because you got a skill, you must know civics, you must know law, you must know history, you must know the culture, and you must know the politics of the universe and the land. Period. Ain't nothing getting around with that. I don't want to hear what they say. Who is they? Like, who is they? That's not qualifying nothing. You feel me? And what did they say? What does the law say? You know? So, peace and love, everybody. If anybody just want to, shout out or whatever, we just going to leave with this song right here. And we out. Peace and love. Thank you for coming.
I'm Amazight Bey. Welcome to the Amazight Bey Show.
Welcome to the Amazight Bey Show, y'all. Come and get some knowledge about your birthright, y'all. Open up your mind.